Hi, everyone. My name's Corey. I'm an MS3 here at UAB, and I'm leading the survey development aspects of our independent student analysis effort for the LCME reaccreditation process. Today, I'm here with Toni Leeth to talk about strategic planning and what we like to call quality improvement. In particular, we're here to talk about our summit, the Medical Education Strategic Planning Summit that took place in March. So hello, Toni.
Hey, Corey. Thanks for spending some time with me today to talk about this.
Absolutely. And so what is the purpose of this Medical Education Summit?
Well, strategic plan is pretty important. Now, granted, I'm a little biased. I do have strategic planning in my title, so it may be a job security issue, but I think it's important to know where you're going, right? So how do you know if all the things that you're doing, and you know as much as anybody else in medical education, we do a lot. So how do you know if that's getting you where you want to go if you haven't decided where you're going? Now, for you and me, you think about all the pieces of a strategic plan, especially for UAB medicine. We talk about engagement, we talk about quality, and we talk about things like culture and what are those outcomes? Well, you may define culture differently than me, and you may define even engagement differently than me. So we could all be working on our independent paths for getting to an outcome that looks very different from each other. So the whole purpose of this summit, and really for our strategic plan, is to make sure we have all collectively defined where we want to go. And then all the ways that we get there will line up to that outcome, right? So that's what any good strategic plan should look like. That's pretty much any good thing in your life, right? If you're going to go on a trip, well, first you and your friends need to decide where you're going to go. So a strategic plan, really, when you break it down, is not any different than that. So that summit was important for us to bring together all the stakeholders to define what do we want to be when we grow up as a medical school, especially around medical education. What did you think about it, Corey? What did you think of the summit in achieving that?
Oh, I loved it. There were people there from all different aspects of UAB, and we were tasked with a huge challenge to, I guess, imagine where, like, if we thought the school was successful in 10 years, what it would look like. And I learned so much. Everyone is clearly thinking deeply about this and all in our own way from our own different viewpoints. And it was really fun to come together and try to work on, tackling some really big problems in Alabama together. And so
Right.
I loved it. So
Good. I'm glad to hear that. That means we did our job well.
I learned so much. It's got me so excited as well. And so I think it'd probably be helpful to just run through who all was there and why was it important that we had all these different parties at the summit?
Yeah, that's a great question. And you mentioned that when you come into the Zoom room, because we did it virtually, and you see these 40 people. Now, 40 people, it sounds like a big group, but it really is a small group when you think about what we started with. So we started with more than 400 stakeholders to choose from, because medical education isn't just on the people in Volcker Hall to lead and to administer, right? It really takes everybody. It's a core mission of what we do here as an academic medical center. So you may have been surprised to come in that Zoom room and see people like Tony Jones and Patricia Pritchett as health system leaders, or to see department chairs like Craig Powell or Danielle Powell in that Zoom room. And then, of course, it included educators. We involved students and residents. We also involved others, like program directors for residency programs, because when we all come together again to figure out where are we going, these are all important stakeholders, not only in making sure we're all in agreement with what that outcome needs to be, but we all have a role in achieving it, right? So educators are faculty. Faculty are in departments. So if department chairs as the leaders of those departments aren't bought into the importance of what we're trying to achieve in medical education and creating an environment and in a culture that supports and promotes education for their faculty as a part of their tenure here at UAB, then we'll never be able to accomplish what we want in creating our medical education program. The same thing on the health system side, right? I can see you are over in the hospital today. So you just finished rounds. So that environment where you are learning as a student, I don't create that as a medical education leader. Our health system leadership does. So the culture that they articulate and that they support to create inside of all of the health systems that we are a part of, that is what creates an environment that supports you as a student to thrive in learning how to prepare yourself for taking care of patients and in our community that we're responsible for. So it was important to have all those people at the table so they are bought in to the ultimate vision and how we're going to get there.
Wow. Yeah, absolutely. I'm just reflecting on, for me, why it worked so well. And why, I just remember so many moments where I was surprised by the perspective that, other people had. And I just hadn't thought about things, from their own way. And it made total sense that they would see it,
Yeah.
certain things that way. And so I definitely think that the diversity of who all was involved was critical, and I think it like really helped us get to some good ideas for how UAB can move forward. And so, what I've been trying to sum things up, but what do you think are the key takeaways from the summit, and how do you think this is going to shape the future at UAB?
So one of the things that I was so pleased to hear from the people at the summit so you're in the middle of the LCME reaccreditation process. We both are. But as an ISA leader, you've learned so much about the elements of LCME. So what are the expectations that the LCME, our accrediting body, has for a medical school? So what I was very pleased to hear from the people in that room, that they wanted more than just checking the box that we achieved that, right? It wasn't enough to say, check, we have provided this. They wanted us to be transformative. They wanted us to set the bar for the rest of the country. And they wanted us to do that in a way that was grounded in our responsibility of providing care to the citizens of our state, right? And as a part of that, changing the landscape of health in our state so that those healthcare disparities that we know and that you see every day on service, it starts to change. And as we're working together as an entire program with training the next generation of healthcare professionals, that's what we're able to accomplish. And so that was exciting for me, is that they wanted to do more and they agreed that we needed to do more than just check the box. We wanted to call ourselves to a higher standard. So everything that I think that we walked out of there with, which was a vision with some goals and some priority initiatives that we're going to take back in medical education leadership to really start to add meat to those bones, is to achieve that, right? And it's challenging us to create an environment that supports all of those goals. So I'm excited to see what all is going to come from this over the next couple of years, because appropriately, it will inform how we use our resources, the environment that we create for you and all of your colleagues as students currently and in the future, and the type of training program that we provide for you. Again, not just thinking about checking the box for rotation this and course this, but really pushing ourselves to do more, because you should be asking us to do more.
I can tell it made you as excited as it made me.
Yeah.
See it. I still am blown away by all the creative solutions that people are envisioning for how we reach that goal of leading the country. And I think there's a lot of opportunities that we've identified. So with that, I guess we'll thank you so much for taking the time to help educate us all on this process, and wish you all the best.
Thanks, Corey. Good to see you. And thanks for being there with us on that summit. Your voice on behalf of your fellow students and that of others from the ISA team was so important because you are a critical stakeholder in this. So thank you for being there.
Absolutely. Thank you for inviting us. All right.
All right. Bye.
Bye.